everybody. Welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we're going to be previewing week 3 in what should be a pretty fun week. There's some pretty good matchups. How are you guys?
Doing well. It's crazy. It seems like time's just flying by. I feel like I'm going to say that every week, but I'm excited to get into a new week here.
Yeah, I'm just hoping my luck turns around this week. So pray for me, pray for better storyline going into week 3. And hopefully, some of the games that I expect to turn out a certain way go that way this week. So I'll be praying for that. New week, new hope.
Yeah, definitely. And Shane mentioned time's flying by, and we're already in episode 50. That's pretty surreal. That's pretty crazy. It sounds crazy to say, but with that, we'll get into the game reviews. I'm really excited for this week. We'll get into tonight's game, Thursday Night Football. The Giants are going to go into San Fran and play the Niners. Is this a 49ers home opener? I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, because they played in Pittsburgh week 1. Yep, it is their home opener.
Yep.
Even though their game in LA was kind of a home game.
That was basically a home game.
Sea of red. But yeah, no Andrew Thomas in this game to block Nick Bosa, no Saquon. I think that's kind of all the analysis you need for this one. The 49ers are just a wrecking ball in the NFL right now. It's them and the Cowboys that are just looking too dominant. It's looking like everything's going to go their way. I will say one thing before Shane goes. Kittle has the same amount of fantasy points as Pitts through 2 weeks so far. I do see him having a bounce back game tonight. I feel like it's kind of like he balls in prime time. I feel like that's kind of Kittle time. So, yeah, what are you doing with Kittle?
Well, that's just what Kittle does, and we talked about this. He's so boom or bust. He's on his bust streak right now, and he tonight could really start his boom streak. This game could seriously get out of hand. If he's the guy, assuming Brandon Ayuk doesn't go or limited, I think George Kittle is going to benefit immensely from the matchup and from a limited or out Ayuk. So I do see a big game ahead for Kittle. But yeah, this game could get ugly.
So what do we think about Matt Breida going up against the 49ers defense with Saquon out? Is this a fringe flex play, or are you guys just leaving him on the bench?
This fringe is flex play, but give us some players that you're comparing him to.
Oh man, that's kind
of like who? Yeah, I know you just picked him up. Who are you deciding between?
How about for me, he's sitting on the bench because I'm not starting him over like a Nico Collins or Josh Jacobs or something like that. But I mean, I'll give you a situation: Matt Breida or Kendrick Bourne.
That was the most random name.
That was random, but it's not a bad one. I think I would take Breida though. With Devontae Parker back, I think I'm taking Breida.
I think I would take Kendrick Bourne. This Matt Breida against this defense, it's probably going to be split. It's not just going to be Breida getting all the work. You're going to see some Brightwell in there, which is that's probably the first time you've ever heard that name. So that's a problem. Against this defense, I'm doing everything I can to not have Breida in my lineup.
Matt Breida or let's think of another. Jaden Reed. How about Jaden Reed, who just had a 2-touchdown game last week?
Okay, that's a better one.
That is. I think I'm still taking Breida just for more guaranteed touches. I think the Dable likes to feed the running backs even in the passing game.
Assuming Watson is back, I still take Jaden Reed. I'm so far away from backup running backs in this matchup.
I think, yeah, I'm kind of scared against this tough of a 49ers team. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 30-0. I mean, somehow the Giants at one point were down 20-0 to the Cardinals. So, this could be another 30-0 at halftime game. And I'm going to leave the whole entire Giants roster on the bench. I mean, is Darren Waller actually playing this week?
Yeah. Oh, Darren Waller's big. He was healthy last week. He was
okay.
Darren Waller, fun fact, he leads all tight ends in receiving yards right now. He looked really good the last quarter and a half last week. I think he's going to be I think he'll be fine this week. It's so tough with this defense. But if they can somewhat stay in it, I bet you he gets hyper targeted and gets close to the 8 targets like he got last week.
Yeah, I think Darren Waller might be the only playable person for the Giants. They're probably just going to target him. But yeah, this game it's going to get out of hand pretty fast. And I think the 49ers are kind of just going to roll over the Giants. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to say I'm not going to be surprised the Giants are shut out again in this one, especially missing Saquon. So I'm taking the 49ers plus 30.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair the way that the Giants have played. I'll say that. And I will say that I have Brandon Ayuk on my team. And if I had a better wide receiver situation, like if we were in a 10-team league, I probably would look to bench Ayuk if I had like a Puka Nacua or, you know, I got a good waiver wire pickup. But I personally don't really have anyone to start over him. So I'm going to play him even with.
You're playing him.
Yeah, he's going to be limited, but I have to play him, man.
You have good options, though. I'm looking at your bench right now.
Like Thielen, like, come on. Like
Elijah
Moore.
You already have Thielen in. I would say Kenneth Gainwell is a fine play. I would say Treylon Burks is a fine play. I don't.
Treylon Burks sucks.
Also, I mean, there's still a chance Ayuk could be out. No, he doesn't suck. Don't be rude.
He just mossed your Chargers last week. He's mad about it.
I don't know. That's still tough. I guess it's hard if Ayuk is in against this defense. It would be hard to bench him. Like
if I get weird vibes leading up to the game, then I definitely might think about it. But as of now, I'm just gonna hope that he has a big play or something because he's my second best receiver. But I'm gonna pick the 49ers on this one. I feel like we did a good job covering it. It might be a little bit out of hand.
Yep.
All right, we all got the Niners. You don't have to watch it, I guess. We'll get on to the next game. This is a really fun one. The first 1 o'clock game on Sunday, and the Titans are going to go into Cleveland and play the Browns. The Browns are 3-point favorites. The Titans are coming off a pretty good bounce back win. I really don't know what to do here. And something interesting is that Jim Schwartz, the new Browns defensive coordinator, was the Titans defensive coordinator last year. So maybe that helps sway my pick to the Browns. But I don't know. Like my gut's kind of telling me the Titans. And I'll be honest, this is the one game that I'm still undecided on, so I'll let you guys kind of talk about it.
Deshaun Watson, that dude, he's just straight terrible. Even with how mid Ryan Tannehill is, he's still gonna be able to get the job done over Deshaun Watson. Mike with Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry's gonna he's gonna be Derrick Henry. You're obviously starting Derrick Henry. Is D-Hop I know he was limited or not limited. He was questionable going into last week, but he ended up playing. Is he fully healthy again?
Yeah, he's fine. It looks like Treylon Burks is rolled down a little bit, so Hopkins will probably have a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think Hopkins is a good play this week. Yeah, Hopkins was a full participant Wednesday practice, so that's good. But yeah, I have the Titans in this game. I just feel like the Browns are kind of sloppy. They have a new starting running back. Granted, I think he'll do decent. There's a good chance he underwhelms against his good Titans D. I think he'll be okay for those that dropped a good chunk of your fab on him. But yeah, I know I got the Titans in this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This feels like the Browns are gonna win to me. I think the Browns defense is actually playing some really good football right now, given the Titans have like the number one run defense in the NFL. But I think Deshaun Watson, I don't think he's played great, but I do think he's better than Ryan Tannehill. And I think that Browns offense just has a little bit better playmakers and weapons. I think this could be a big game for Amari Cooper to take advantage of the Titans' weak secondary. And even Treylon Burks, I threw a little shade at him, but I think he could burn. Wait, what am I saying? They got a little sidetracked there. But I think both wide receivers on this could on both teams could be good. But I just feel like Amari Cooper and the Browns offense is just a little bit better. And I think they're going to have the edge. And I think Myles Garrett is just going to absolutely destroy Ryan Tannehill in this game. So I'm going to take the Browns in a close one in this one.
Yeah, kind of bouncing off what you were saying. I think the secondaries versus the receivers battle will actually be the X factor in this one. I think that the Browns badass corner trio, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, and kid from Northwestern, I'm blanking, Greg Newsome, just three beasts. I think that could give Hopkins, Tannehill, and Burke some fits. Meanwhile, the Titans secondary is really weak, so I could see Amari Cooper finding some holes, getting some touchdowns. Same with Donovan's People-Jones, Elijah Moore. So I am going to pick the Browns. This is going to be my last time believing them because I've been hyping up the Browns so much this whole offseason. I've been riding with them the first 2 weeks and they've let me down. So I'm just going to, or I guess they didn't let me down week 1, but still. I'm gonna give Deshaun and the Browns one more chance to redeem themselves.
I like the pick, Dan. We're on the same page.
Yep. All right. Anything else you guys want to add on this one?
Let's move on to the next one.
Yep.
Oh, real quick, the Browns did just bring in Kareem Hunt, so I don't think Kareem Hunt is acclimated enough to play this week. So are you guys just firing up Jerome Ford in every league if you got him?
Jerome Ford this week, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jerome Ford's going to be awesome. With how he looked last week, he was pretty electric. He's averaging like 6.4 yards a carry. I think he's going to pick up right where he left off. I'm giving the Titans run defense probably a little bit better, but I still think he'll perform at a high level.
Yeah, a little bit of a drop off, but he's a really good running back. He looked good last week. We'll get on to the Patriots versus Jets. The Patriots are 2.5-point road favorites, and I think Bill Belichick is going to have another Jets quarterback seeing ghosts in this one. I think this might be one of those iconic, quarterback moments, if you will, that we'll kind of talk about the Bears here in a little bit, but I think Justin Fields might have had that, he's a bust moment today. And I think that this is going to happen on Sunday. The Patriots kind of just own this Jets offense. And I just don't really see them being matched. Though I will say the Patriots run defense has looked weaker than expected. So Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook could, do their thing, break some runs. I'm starting Breece Hall in fantasy. I'm hoping that he can break a long run away. But the Patriots are going to be stout. It's going to be hard to score a field goal on them. Like I genuinely think it's going to be that low scoring. And this is 2 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL easily without question. So it's going to be a fun defensive division battle. But I think the Jets might be outmatched on offense.
I was going to mention, I think this is going to be very low scoring. I did pick the Jets. I think it's going to be literally 12-9 Jets. Pretty much all field goals across the board. I think Garrett Wilson is a scary start this week. It's so hard. It's so hard to bench him because it's Garrett Wilson. But what we just saw Christian Gonzalez do to Tyreek Hill, how I assume Christian Gonzalez will be on Garrett Wilson with his quarterback situation. Very scary start this week for Garrett Wilson. It's going to be hard, but I would be doing everything I can to not play him. More than likely, you're going to be playing him though.
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a funny game. I think the Patriots defense, as they usually do against the Jets, just play absolutely phenomenally. And Christian Gonzalez, I think, is in for a historic day. I'm super excited to see him face this Jets offense. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Jets game plan, if they're going to run the ball or if they're going to get behind early and have to pass the ball. I think that's going to be a big factor in this game. The Jets were somehow, Breece Hall is able to break a run or something. They're able to get on the board first. I think it could be closer than we think, but it all kind of depends who gets the early lead. But Bill Belichick just has this Jets team on lock. And I think how many straight games have they won against them? I think it was some crazy number, like 10 or 15.
I think it was 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So 14 straight games. I don't expect that streak to end. So lock in the Patriots. I think this is going to be a pretty easy one for their defense.
Yep. And you're starting Ramondre in fantasy. Like we talked about earlier, I think Kendrick Bourne's a fine flex play, as well as Devontae Parker. They're both kind of target machines right now. Hunter Henry's the tight end 1 right now in fantasy. So fire up Hunter Henry while you can. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, shout out Hunter Henry just out of nowhere. Having a revamped, little career all of a sudden with the Patriots now. But yeah, he hasn't looked good since he's been on the Patriots, and wow, all of a sudden he's tight end 1 this season. So get Hunter Henry on your fantasy roster and start him while you can before it ends.
Yep, touchdown machine, Hunter Henry. And for the Jets, if you have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, you kind of drafted them where you kind of have to start them. But if you can, look, this is a tough matchup, man. So try to look away from them if you can afford it. I personally can't. But anything else you guys want to say on this one?
Nope.
All right. So me and Josh have the Patriots and Shane has the Jets. We'll move on to the next game, which might be the ass beating of the week. The Broncos go into Miami and play the Dolphins, who are 6.5-point home favorites. And I'm just kidding. I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything. I think the Broncos offense has improved, so it could actually be a funner game than people are expecting. It could be a little bit closer than expected, but the Broncos defense is kind of rough. Hopefully Surtain can somehow magically limit this receiving core, but it's just so incredible. Like if Surtain has a good day, Waddle's just going to eat Mathis alive. So I don't really have too much hope that the Broncos are going to allow less than like 50 points in this one. But yeah, hopefully the Broncos offense can have some electric outputs though.
I mean, this is on the one side and the Dolphin side, it's simple. You're starting Raheem, Tyreek, Waddle. Depending on how you went with quarterback, you're probably starting Tua. On the Broncos side of things, Judy's back, so you're probably starting Judy. But then, like, what are you doing with Javonte? I know Danny. I know you're starting Javonte. I guess it's a pretty favorable matchup this week. Would you say?
Yeah, I definitely would say. I would say their run defense is a little bit soft, and I think that the Broncos are going to be down, so they're going to be passing a lot, and Javonte will be in on those downs, so he'll get some receptions.
Yeah, so Javonte, he could be a good play this week, but other than that, I don't think you're playing Marvin Mims, even though he's coming off a great 2-reception, 100+ yard receiving yard game. I don't think you're playing him yet. Cortland Sutton, if it's a deep league, sure, maybe, but it's really just Judy and Javonte and move on.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun game. In what world would we have thought the Broncos defense is going to be the reason that they're 0-2 at this point? So yeah, it's kind of weird. It all of a sudden flip-flopped from year to year for the Broncos. Their defense has been so solid for so long, and all of a sudden now their offense is solid, and now their defense is underperforming. So really, really weird there. But I would absolutely start Javonte Williams. I think the Dolphins do have not a weak run defense, but definitely capable, run defense to run against. A couple weeks ago, I watched very closely with the Chargers and the Dolphins playing, and the Chargers ran at 100% effective. Was it the run over expected or whatever? They ran at 100%. It was like one of the best running performances in the last 20 years. It was something crazy like that against the Dolphins. And they had Austin Eckler ran for like 130 yards and Josh Kelly ran for 90 yards. So they were two of the top rushers that week. And so I think this could be a big day for Javonte. And I'm super excited to see that. And then on the other side of the field, this Dolphins team is going to have a heyday. I think Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle are all just going to be awesome. Even Tua, if you have him start Tua, I think this is going to be, I think it actually just might be a shootout between the two teams because Russell's been playing pretty good. So it'll be fun. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Broncos are going to be able to keep up with the Dolphins' high-powered offense right now that is just looking electric. So I do have the Dolphins beating them in this.
The lightning in the background of your background looks pretty dope, by the way. So thanks for providing the aesthetic.
Absolutely. It's kind of scared me a couple times. I don't know if you guys have heard the thunder, but also it'll shake my house. I'm like,
Yeah, I definitely have seen it. It's hilarious. But let's hear your guys' picks. I'm going to go the Dolphins. I need the Broncos to prove something to me. I need the defense to be a little more tight, and this matchup is tough in Miami.
Yeah, I got the Dolphins here too.
All right, it's a sweep. Sorry, Broncos. You guys don't need to watch this game.
Unfortunate one, but it'll be a fun game to watch. We'll get into the next game. The Colts are going to go into Baltimore and play the Ravens, who are 7.5-point home favorites. And I think that's because it looks like it's going to be Gardner Minshew. It's not official yet. It's always hard with concussions to know exactly. But as of right now, I'm kind of prepared for my pick as if it's going to be Gardner Minshew going. And Lamar and the Ravens caught some fire last week with Lamar Andrews coming back, and that's really exciting. They kind of adapted to the Todd Monken offense faster than I thought they would. So really fun to see. I think the Ravens at home will, do their thing. Even if Anthony Richardson plays, it'll be fun watching Lamar and Anthony Richardson, who's the next Lamar. So that'll be an incredible matchup just for watching purposes. That'll be really fun. But I do think the Ravens are kind of just outmatched them on offense and defense.
It's unfortunate with Anthony Richardson, very questionable to play this game. But I mean, if he does, you're playing him. If you don't have a guy named Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, Josh Allen, or probably Justin Herbert, you're playing Anthony Richardson. And Michael Pittman, and then that's about it on the Colts side. Zay Flowers, man. I mean, obviously, I have him in our league, so it's like a deeper connection. But I'm loving Zay Flowers this year. He's looked so good through 2 weeks, and I think this week against the Colts, this great matchup, a banged up Odell, and also a distracted Odell who decided to go date a Kardashian. I think Zay's in for a big week this week. And obviously, you got Mark Andrews playing.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I think Zay Flowers is kind of a must start in really any league moving forward. I have a 10-team league, and I'm starting him. Like he's just a good option.
Absolutely. Yeah, Zay Flowers is absolutely lighting up the NFL right now. And just in a way that I didn't really expect. More of just, he's a possession, almost like a possession receiver that can get deep, It's kind of crazy. So his fantasy value is just tremendous right now. So if you drafted Zay Flowers, congratulations. That was a great pick. He's definitely paying his value right now, and it'll probably get better. But in terms of this game, it'll be interesting. I think if Gardner Minshew plays, I could kind of see some Minshew mania going on, and I could see a weird, because the Colts always do some weird upset. A couple weeks into the season, they did it last year against the Chiefs. So I could kind of see something like that. But I don't know.
Come on, you have to stick to
Taylor.
it if you're gonna say that. Come on, stick to it.
They don't have, but on the other side, they're missing Jonathan Taylor. They don't have that great of a running back. Their receivers are okay.
Do it.
Defense is, I can't do it. I can't do it. The Ravens are too high power. They're too good of a well-rounded team. I have to take the Ravens. I'm rolling with Lamar Jackson. Even though I could see an upset, I would like to take the upset, but the Ravens are just too safe of a pick here, and I want to win this week in our picks, so I'm playing it safe.
Fair enough. And on the Colts aspect of things, I think it's just start Michael Pittman. I think he's a really good option moving forward. And other than Jonathan Taylor in a few weeks, I don't know if there is any other options really, unless Josh Downs develops a rapport with Anthony Richardson eventually. But with that, we'll get on to our next game. The Bills are going to go into Washington and play the Commanders. The Bills are 6.5-point road favorites, and the Commanders are sneaky, man. They looked really good last week. Eric Bieniemy really, really impressed me. Hopefully he can keep that up, because he was kind of firing on all cylinders play calling wise, and he got everyone involved. So I really do love to see that. I loved what I saw from Brian Robinson. He is just so solid. He's going to be a good starting running back for them moving forward, and especially in fantasy, you got to start him in every league. And on the Bills side of things, I loved what they did in week 2 to bounce back from a bad week 1. They're running a record amount of 12 personnel, and I absolutely love it. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are both starters, and they're both kind of start worthy in fantasy. I think both are option, both are awesome, and it gives the Bills a lot of options, and it makes them really hard to game plan against. So this is a better matchup than people are giving credit. I think it's a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills will win. I got the Bills in this, but I do think it'll be a good game. Brian Robinson, he's the running back 3 right now. Week 1, he had 19 rushes and 18 rushes last week, and then 2 targets and 3 targets. I mean, this dude is getting all the work in that backfield. If you are still holding on to Antonio Gibson, stop wasting a roster spot and just drop him, because this is Brian Robinson's backfield. And then, I mean, Jahan Dotson has definitely been pretty disappointing. But Terry was pretty good. I know he's still dealing with that turf toe thing, but they're still, both of those are still good plays this week. And then James Cook on the other side of the ball. It sucks. He's only a between the 20s guy. I would love to see him punch it in from, before they take him out, because I saw something today. He has never had a rush inside the 5-yard line. Never.
That's ridiculous.
So I think, you're still going to get enough out of him between the 20s that he's still going to finish as a solid RB2. Maybe if he gets in the end zone, he'll be an RB1 on the week, but it sucks. But he's still going to be a great play.
Yeah. This whole game in general is going to be a really, really, really good game. The Commanders are again, like, I kind of feel the same way about like the Colts. The Commanders are a sneaky upset team. The style of defense they played last week, I think they sacked Russell Wilson like 7 times. But their defensive line is just amazing. And I think that might get to Josh Allen and force Josh Allen to, play reckless football because he's under pressure. So that's something to look out for. And then also I want to ask you, I know Danny kind of already spoke on this, but are we all in on the Dalton Kincaid train? I need to know for my fantasy team, are we starting Dalton Kincaid over most other tight ends? Like, and I'm talking like, because I specifically have Pat Freiermuth. Are you guys starting Dalton Kincaid over like a Pat Freiermuth, George Kittle, even maybe?
So we have a co-manager league, Josh, and we have George Kittle in our team, and we have Kincaid in our team, and I think that's kind of perfect. I think that's a great luxury to have, but I think we'll give Kittle a few more weeks just to because he has those boom weeks. We'll give him a chance, but. If it's someone like Pat Freiermuth who has 2 catches in 2 weeks, then yeah, just fire up Kincaid because he's gotten so many more targets than Pat. So
yeah, I'm definitely disappointed in Pat Freiermuth. But yeah, Dalton Kincaid, if you took him late in your fantasy draft, he's starting to return his value. The rookie tight ends are looking really good. But I'm super excited to see how he goes into week 3. But yeah, this game, I think this is going to be an interesting game. I really am. I think the storyline of this is how Josh Allen, fends against this incredible Commanders defensive line. And if they get after him, it could be closer than we think. However, I am going to take the Bills in this one, but watch out for that Commanders defense. It could mess with Josh Allen's head.
Yeah. Could be a squeaker. All right, we'll get on to the next one. This is a really, really fun NFC matchup. I'm kind of torn on it right now. The Falcons are going to go into Detroit and play the Lions, who are 3.5-point home favorites. I will say I'm kind of worried about the Lions' run defense in this matchup, which is the main reason that I am kind of going back and forth, because Arthur Smith does some angelic things in the run game, and the Lions' run defense has looked a little like a liability, to say the least, the first 2 weeks. Their defense has improved overall, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going down doesn't help at all, and that's a big loss. He brought a whole new mentality to that defense. So that's the thing that's making this tough for me, man. I think the Falcons offense will be good, but the Detroit offense is very, very electric, and I think Amon-Ra's health will kind of decide this game.
What do we think about Jahmyr Gibbs this week? Is he finally going to get the workload that everyone wants him to get? He's had
I hope
7 carries each game the first 2 games.
It does not matter how many times Craig Reynolds touches the ball this game. I know he's going to probably a decent amount of times, and Jahmyr Gibbs managers will be pissed, but Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off. He's going to be electric. He's going to have a big fantasy week. So I'm so excited for him.
And we did see
Bijan. This is huge.
Yeah,
this is going to be fun. Yeah, that's good. That's going to be a fun little storyline right there to see who has the better game. Because Jahmyr Gibbs, they're both they're both in running back by committees. But yeah, this should be a fun one for sure. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs will definitely eat, Shane.
And last week he did bump up from 2 targets in week 1 to 9 targets last week. He's against this better defense, but still vulnerable defense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, unfortunately, as I'm going against him this week, is in for a potentially big week. And then obviously, Bijan's looked so freaky these first 2 weeks. It's crazy. But what are you doing with Tyler Algier? You had that awesome first week, and then last week was disappointing. And then with this kind of favorable matchup with potentially high scoring game, are you playing Algier?
I think it's definitely fine to play Algier. I'm kind of scared off after last week, but I think in this specific matchup, I think they're going to be scoring a lot, and I think they're going to be running a lot, like we know Arthur Smith loves to do. So yeah, I think Tyler Algier is still a fine play for now.
The touches for Tyler Algier are definitely going to be there. It's just the goal line work, and which he'll still get the goal line work. I don't think Bijan scored last week and still had 20 points. So Tyler Algier is definitely on, definitely more the goal line guy. This game, might be really high scoring, and the Falcons might be getting down there a lot. So I think Tyler Algier is definitely a safe play. I think both running backs are going to be just fine for the Falcons, even if it's a 50-50 split.
And Shane, how do you feel about the Saints receivers? I know it's Amon-Ra has turf toe, I think, so it's kind of questionable. So are you starting?
You said Saints.
You said Saints.
I don't know how that. I think it's because St. Brown, maybe. I don't know how that came to mind.
No, I know what you meant, but it's just funny. Amon Ra, what is he? I'm just trying to pull up what he did today at practice real quick. So today, on Wednesday, so he didn't practice today. I think you could tell he was hurting. He didn't do much when he came out of the game, and they put that steel plate in his shoe and his cleat. And I mean, Josh Reynolds looked awesome. I think Josh Reynolds is in for another big week. And Amon Ra is kind of scary with this injury, considering what he did after it happened last week. Josh Reynolds, I think, is a good play. After that, I mean, Khalif Raymond, I don't know, depending on how deep your league goes, yeah, Khalif Raymond would be okay. And then you got to find a way to get Sam Laporta in there, especially with a potentially limited Amon Ra. Sam Laporta looks so awesome.
Yep, I think Sam Laporta is a must start for sure. And I do think Josh Reynolds, with or without Amon Ra, will be a good play because he's going to be limited. So we saw that last week. But yeah, I think I'm going to take the Lions. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I might be sleeping, but I don't know if Arthur Smith can outshoot this Lions offense. So I am going to take the Lions, but I'm really torn on it.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Lions in this one. And the reason is because the Lions are able to get down the field vertically a lot easier than the Falcons are. Falcons are so reliant on the run game. And if the Lions score early and score often, and you have to rely on Desmond Ridder to push the ball down the field, I'm just not confident enough in that to take the Falcons right now against a high-powered Lions offense. So I think the Lions get it done in this one.
Yep, I got the Lions in this one.
All right, Lions sweep. No one needs to watch. There you go.
Another no watch. We'll get on to the next one. The Saints are going into Lambeau for the Packers home opener, and they're 2-point favorites. This is going to be an electric one. I think Lambeau is going to be bumping. I think this Packers defense can be pretty good this week, and I think the X factor in this game is Chris Olave versus Jair Alexander. I think Chris Olave is kind of the one thing that can really hurt the Packers defense. So looking forward to this matchup. And the Saints defense looks awesome to me. So I'm really interested to see how Jordan Love looks in this test. This is definitely the biggest test of his career. And I'm really excited to see what happens in Lambeau. It's going to be electric,
man. My biggest concern, I have Aaron Jones on my fantasy team, but I thought for sure he was a lock to come back this week, and he didn't practice today on Wednesday. So I really hope he can get limited practice in. But it looks like Christian Watson will finally be back. He did practice today. I'm so excited to see Christian Watson back with the way he ended things last year. Now with Jordan Love, I'm so excited to see what he can do. And what are you doing with Luke Musgrave? Are you starting him this week?
Not against this tough Saints D. Not quite there yet on Luke Musgrave. Even though I think he's a great talent, I think we're a week or two out to really feel comfortable on starting him, in my opinion.
Fair. And then, I mean, on the Saints side of things, obviously I think the real question mark is the backfield with no Jamal Williams, one more week without Alvin Kamara. I think Kendre Miller is a fine play. He's good. He was a full go at practice today. And then Tony Jones, he's probably gonna be the goal line guy. If he can fall into the end zone, you're going to have some value there. But it's probably better off just waiting on both those guys.
Yeah. 100%. And you mentioned Christian Watson. I am so excited to watch his debut. He is just such a fun player to watch. He can take any given slant to the house. And I'm pretty sure this will completely bite me in the ass, but I am going to take the Packers. I think at home, the home opener, I think it's going to be the bump in. I probably am putting way too much stock into that. I think the Saints floor is pretty high, and I think their defense is awesome. So I this will probably bite me in the butt, but I'm going to go the Packers.
I was torn, but ultimately I'm going to go with the Saints. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Shane on this one. I think the Saints defense is just going to outperform. And I think Derek Carr and Chris Olave and the running game's just good enough to knock off the Packers in this one. I'm feeling pretty comfortable about that. And I think Chris Olave, even though he's probably going to be facing Jair Alexander, I still think he's going to get one or two deep balls because they're just going to keep going at him.
All right. I'm the lone dog for this one. We'll get on to the next game. The Texans are going to go into Jacksonville and play the Jaguars, who are 9.5-point home favorites. And the Texans got to get healthy, but I think we all absolutely love the direction they're heading in. They're kind of a different identity than we all expected. They're a really good passing team, and it's pretty fun to watch. I think CJ Stroud looks awesome. Josh had him as his QB1, and he's looking like the QB1 right now. He looks comfortable. He looks like what Justin Fields could have dreamed of looking like in his third NFL season, and he's in his third NFL game. So really good signs for CJ Stroud. He's going to be awesome for the Texans moving forward. They're going to be competitive in just about every game with the Miko Ryans. They're a feisty team once they get some talent in there. And the Jaguars, they looked rough last week, but let's be real. They have another home game. I think they're going to bounce back and have a pretty electric offensive game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good bounce back game for those Jaguars fantasy weapons. But on the other side of the ball, with how much the Texans are airing it out, I think Tank Dell and Nico Collins are solid plays this week. Other than that, I think you got to bench Dameon Pierce. He's looked terrible, and they're just looking to air it out more. And he's not much of a pass catcher. But it's pretty simple. I think Jags are going to win this one handedly.
Yeah. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. Divisional games are always a little bit closer than to be expected. So I'd love to see the Texans come in here and knock off the Jags. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Jags are just a little too overpowered. So I will be taking the Jags in this one. But yeah, CJ Stroud is just looking so poised, so calm, and they're trusting him to throw the ball. I think last week he threw the ball 40 something times. So this offense is going to run through Stroud and passing, and the passing game. And Nico Collins looking really solid. Start Nico Collins. I think he's a plug and play right now. And I think the other receivers are definitely fringe plays like Tank Dell, Robert Woods. I don't know yet, but maybe just Nico Collins and Tank Dell right now, who I'm feeling a little bit more confident in. However, I think Jaguars and Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne are just going to light up this defense. And I think it's going to be a really fun game. And I think it's going to be closer than what everyone thinks. I think everyone kind of thinks the Jaguars will roll over the Texans, but I think it's going to be closer than you think.
The Jaguars are 9.5-point favorites. So are you taking the over or under on that? You taking the Texans with the spread?
I think I will take the Texans with the spread, honestly.
Right. So probably like a 7-point game, you predict?
Yeah, might even come down to a 3-point game, honestly, at the end of the day. But yeah, I would say for just one touchdown, I think, but I wouldn't even be surprised if the Jags get a field goal to win or something like that.
Yeah, these AFC South matchups always kind of seem like that, and these Texans are for real. I like what they're doing. I like the direction they're heading in, but I am going to pick the Jaguars. I think they're just a little bit outmatched at home.
Yeah, Texans are a year or two out from being a really good football team. I think they're one or two really explosive offensive players, and and building that defensive culture. They're close, but they're not. I don't think they'll be there this year.
Yeah, definitely close. Do we all have the Jags on this one then?
Yep.
All right, don't watch it. It's a sweep.
Yep. We'll get on to the next one. It's going to be an interesting one. The battle of two surprising 0-2 teams. The Chargers are going to go into Minnesota and play the Vikings, and the spread is completely even. It's a push right now, so it's a tough one to pick. It's going to be a great game, and I guess the question is who's going to mess this one up more.
Yeah, the Vikings are just the Chargers of the NFC. So they're almost exactly the same football team if you really think about it. They let everyone down and break hearts and make you question why you're a fan. And I couldn't even. Both of these teams want to win so bad. I couldn't even tell. I can't even confidently pick my Chargers in this one. It's just both of these teams are so desperate, and they need neither of these teams can afford to go 0-3. So honestly, maybe I'm going to pick a tie. Maybe they'll both just choke and they'll go into overtime and no one will score. Seems about right, but I have to just go with the Chargers because I can't afford not to. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ended in a tie because both these teams figure out a way to choke and to break everyone's hearts in the end.
I think I don't want to get my hopes up because it's kind of like I feel like this is the Jags Chiefs game of last week, but I think this is going to be a good high scoring game. I do have the Chargers in this. They're at the end of the day, they're just the better roster. They're due. It's time for them to get a win for store's sake.
Thanks, Shane.
There's just so many fantasy assets in this one. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. This should be a fun game to watch.
Oh, and Justin Fields and Jordan Addison going to have a field day.
Justin
Jefferson.
Fields.
Don't ever say Fields.
Sorry, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison going to have a field day.
What were we going to say, Dan?
Justin Fields will not have a field day, unfortunately. But I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say, I think Alexander Mattison, if you drafted him to be your starter, I think this is one last week to start him and just pray that he does good, because I think them signing Cam Akers is going to piss him off. I think he could have a good game this week with the Chargers, historically bad rush defense. So I do think that Alexander Mattison is startable in fantasy in this one.
I do too. I think especially coming in, it is Wednesday night. I don't think Cam Akers is going to see the field much in his first, after being there for 4 days or whatever it is, against this terrible defense. Alexander Mattison should have a good day, and then after this weekend, it'll be strange. We'll have to wait and see and just watch the game in week 4 to see what they really do with this backfield. Alexander Mattison could come out. It could be a 1A, 1B type thing. But it definitely hurts for those if you have Alexander Mattison. But it's just a wait and see. There's nothing else we can really predict right now. We got to see what happens.
I also want to say one positive thing about my Chargers. Tui Tuipulotu is a dog, leading all rookie edge defenders in pressure rate right now. So pretty good stat for only starting 1 week. But dude's looking like an absolute dog. Super excited to see him in this game and get after Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, hopefully the Chargers defense can step up. This game is really hard to pick. Obviously, I'll say obviously the Chargers are the better roster and the better team. I watched Kirk's press conference today, and he does seem really locked in. He has a good head on his shoulders.
The coaching staff of the Vikings is definitely better.
The coaching staff is great for the Vikings. I love watching Vikings games when they show the sideline. Kevin O'Connell always just looks like such a cool, chill. He's always just never stressed. He's always just there.
Kevin O'Connell, is fantastic.
Yeah, he's always a very calm and cool, collected guy. I respect him a lot. I'm going to pick the Vikings in this one at home. It's literally a push. I'm just going to pick the Vikings because I don't like stores.
You think they're going to start 0-3?
Yep.
Tell the Chargers, I like all the criticism because they need it. They've created this narrative around themselves, and it's their fault. The Chargers are going to charge. They will find just an immaculate way to lose a game.
If they lose this game, Staley's gone. I'm calling it now.
It'd be a riot in LA for sure if they start 0-3. There's just so much aspirations and high hopes for this team. But the same thing on the Vikings end. The Vikings, literally, when I say they're the Chargers of the NFC, they are the Chargers of the NFC. They will find a way to lose or some immaculate way. Last year it didn't really go that way. Somehow they went 7-1 to start out the season. Ultimately, they chargered, as I will say. But this is a weird game for two 0-2 teams. They're both going to be desperate. It's going to be crazy.
And I got to say, the Vikings have played 2 sloppy games. They've had turnovers. They have kind of excuses for why they lost. But the Chargers are losing without turning the ball over. They're losing playing fine on most aspects. So, what is the fix? I don't know what the fix is. And that's the thing that scares me right now. I don't know.
And looking like no Austin Eckler again. So that is scary too.
Yeah, could be. And no Eric Kendricks either. So I don't think he'll be returning to play his former team, which is kind of sucks. But Kenneth Murray actually really stepped up last week. And the Chargers actually did a fine job against Derrick Henry, held him to under 100 yards, which is interesting. Just as crazy.
Do you want me to get the timer out?
No, I think I'm done. I want to see. I am excited to watch this game just in the fact of I hope it's a high scoring game. I think it'll be a pretty entertaining team to watch. And I think they'll both fight really hard. And I don't know if how many teams start 0-3 and ever make the playoffs. Does that
the odds go down significantly once you go 0-2, man. So I don't even know what the odds would be after 0-3.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy hard fought game, but at the end of the day, bolt up. Let's go.
Let's move on.
Let's get one win, please.
Move on.
Please, for my mental health. For my mental health, please, one win.
Yeah, going to be a super close game. It's going to be really fun to watch. And similar to Zay Flowers, start Jordan Addison, 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He's so fun.
Don't start Quentin Johnson though. He hasn't looked like anything.
Yeah, you definitely want the Chargers to target Quentin Johnson more and get him out the field more because he has a lot of potential. But we'll get on to the next one, which I think will be a very high-scoring game in Seattle. The Panthers are going to go in there and play the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 6-point favorites at home. It's so hard because I was really high on the Panthers coming into the season, and I love Bryce Young. I love Ejiro Evero. I love what he's done with his Panthers defense. I thought they looked really good against the Saints last week. And this man pictured right here, Brian Burns, is a game wrecker, absolute havoc wrecker. So I do think the Panthers could make things a little bit interesting in Seattle and surprise some people. No one's really talking about that. But the Seahawks they found some things last week in Detroit. Their offense really clicked, and I think that will probably continue.
Oh, unfortunately, it looks like never mind. It's not a lot of 30% chance of rain in Seattle, so it probably won't be that bad.
So it's a normal day in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think this could be a high scoring game, sort of a get right game for Bryce Young. He hasn't looked great his first 2 games of his career. This is a good chance against this vulnerable Seahawks team to get a W that no one would expect, but there's definitely a world where the Panthers could win. Granted, I think the Seahawks will win. Miles Sanders, his volume, he's getting such 18 rushes week 1, 14 week 2, 6 targets, 5 targets. He's getting upper end running back 2 volume. His efficiency has been absolute garbage. So I think this is also a good chance for a bounce back week for Miles Sanders as well. Because he's the dude back there. There's still a good amount of Chuba Hubbard, but it's clear he's the guy with the volume he gets. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, I think Miles Sanders and Adam Thielen both have good weeks, and Jonathan Mingo, just because I think the Panthers are going to need to just push on offense. They're going to need to pull out all the stops and put up some points in this game.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to roll over them. I don't think the Panthers are there yet. I think Gino, after that embarrassing week 1 loss, I think they're back on track and they're firing on all cylinders right now. And I think the Seahawks will run over the Panthers. I would love to see a really good game from Bryce Young. I just don't think the Seahawks got arguably one of the better corner duos in the league. And then Bobby Wagner, and I don't know. I think it's going to give Bryce Young too much trouble. And I think the Seahawks will take care of business pretty easy.
Definitely possible. I'm going to pick the Seahawks as well. I think it'll be a little closer than what you think, but I am going to pick the Seahawks at home.
Yep, Seahawks.
All right, don't watch it. Another sweep.
Don't watch it. We'll get on to another game that you definitely don't watch. Do not watch this game. I'm warning you right now. Don't watch this game. The Cowboys are going into Arizona and playing the Cardinals. The Cowboys are 12-point road favorites.
This might be bad. This might get out of hand pretty bad. Yeah.
I
don't even know if they should air this on TV. It might be murder. They'd be airing an absolute murder.
Yeah. The Cowboys are going to cover so easily. 12 points. This is going to be a 20 plus point blowout.
Yeah, that's pretty generous. 12 points is very generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much to talk about. I almost feel bad.
There's
start
not.
The Cowboys defense. Start every Cowboys player who you have rostered.
Start James Conner because you have to, and that's it. And then move on.
Yep, and don't watch the absolute murder that's going to be on TV. So just don't watch it. You'll feel bad.
Yeah, don't let anyone under the age of 18 watch this game. But James Conner is just going to be absolutely run into the ground. So to start him, even though it's a tough matchup, they're going to feed him so much. But even Hollywood Brown, just because they're going to need to push things in offense, I think Hollywood could be a decent play. But yeah, start every Cowboys option. They're probably not going to be playing the second half, but it won't matter. They're going to be dominant. We all pick the Cowboys in this one. go on to the next game, then this is kind of something I want to have a little conversation about. The Bears are going into Kansas City and playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 12.5-point home favorites. It's the Matt Nagy revenge game that everyone's been waiting for. And I just got to talk to Justin Fields. Justin, you can't say it's your coach's fault and then go back and say you didn't. Like it's not the 1950s. It was on tape, Justin. You can't take back something like that. And like I said earlier, you know how for every bust quarterback, there's kind of that moment, like the Sam Darnold seeing ghost moment that you kind of know it's over. That was this morning for me with Justin Fields. I think the odds of him turning out is about 0%. And it sucks. I love Justin Fields. I wanted to draft him over Patrick Surtain as a Broncos fan just because the position is such a valuable position. But man, it sucks. He's just not there mentally. You could see it on the field with his reads. He's tossing the ball to Shaq Barrett. I'm done with Justin. I hated his comments today.
Yeah, fair point there. I think this Chiefs defense is looking so much better than they did last year. Yeah, Chris Jones back now. I think we're looking at 6+ sacks, probably from Chris Jones alone. Seriously. But I mean, you got to play. You draft him. You got to play Justin Fields. It's just his feet add too much value to bench him right now. And then you're playing DJ Moore, and I don't know in the backfield. I don't think you're playing anyone. No one's really jumped out and proven to be a reliable starter. It could be Roshan Johnson this week. It could be Khalil Herbert. We don't know yet, so I don't think it's worth guessing on those guys, especially when it's going to be a negative game script, and they're going to be having to throw it a lot, or Justin Fields is just going to be running. And then on the other side of the ball, obviously you're playing Mahomes, Kelsey, probably Pacheco, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, we talked about Alexander Madison. I think I would actually start Pacheco over Alexander Madison in this matchup.
100%.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. It's sad. I was such a big Justin Fields fan coming out of Ohio State, and it's just really not turning out this year. I mean, given we're only 2 weeks into the season, but it already feels like it's over for the kid. It's sad, but they have gotten away from what was working. I mean, even though the Bears lost like 10 straight games to end last season, they went away from what was working for Justin Fields. It's like they changed the offense. It's uncomfortable. It's weird, but they've only gotten better in talent. So it's just kind of a head scratcher. But yeah, the Chiefs are gonna come and roll over the Bears. It's not even really going to be close. Patrick Mahomes is going to go off. And yeah, it's going to be a beat down again.
Yeah. Beat down. And I do think DJ Moore is a good play. I think he'll be the one Bears player putting out any output at all. He'll probably be pretty good.
I hope so. I sure hope so for my sake.
Yeah. For your mental health, hopefully. We'll get on to the Sunday night football game. It's an interesting one in Vegas. The Steelers play the Raiders, and the Raiders are surprisingly 2.5-point home favorites. That's interesting. I honestly didn't expect them to be favored in this game after that Bills blowout, but the Steelers aren't the Bills, as we've seen through 2 weeks. So it's interesting. It's nice seeing that Steelers win on Monday night. Their defense just showed out and just gave them that win. Hopefully Kenny Pickett can kind of figure some things out against this weaker defense, definitely the weakest defense he's faced in a minute. So it's an interesting matchup. I think it's going to be a really close one. I'm kind of still deciding on my picks. I'll let you guys talk about this one.
I have the Steelers in this game. Their defense is just it's going to be too much for Jimmy G, and they're and then the Raiders defense on the flip side. I think Kenny Pickett has a good chance to show some preseason Kenny Pickett here. George Pickens is a must start after what we saw last week. 10 targets, that's amazing. So give me all of George Pickens. I think Pat Freiermuth is a good play this week. Personally, I would play him over Dalton Kincaid this week, but that's just me.
Don't make me overthink it.
Want to make a bet?
Don't make me overthink this.
Steelers want to make a bet?
I don't want to bet on either of those. No.
Hey, you're already making the bet. If you're starting them, you're already making the bet.
Yeah.
All right, $10 bet. $10 bet.
All right, the $10 bet. I think Pat will outscore Dalton Kincaid.
Okay. Done. Write it down. Write it down. The volume's there for Kincaid, so I'll take it. I'll take it.
But then Josh Jacobs, he's been so disappointing. I don't know if that's going to get much better this weekend with this matchup. I guess we'll see. I got the Steelers though. I like the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, I have the Steelers strictly just because of their defense, and that performance they put up against the Browns was pretty electric. And TJ Watt was an absolute animal, and Alex Highsmith or Hightower, what is it? Highsmith, yes. He was an absolute dog out there. Yeah, that defense was electric, and I think they're going to be all over Jimmy G. I am curious to see how Josh Jacobs does this week. I mean, coming from a 9 carry -2 yards last week, do you think he improves that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say I'm the lone dog this week. I'm gonna take the Raiders because I think that Josh Jacobs will actually get his way against the Steelers' run defense. I know that they're known for having a stout defensive line and everything, but I do think Josh Jacobs has a game in this primetime game at home. I think Jimmy G will limit Highsmith and TJ Watt. I think that Jimmy G will get the ball out really fast to Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, who will be back. So I am going to be the lone dog in this one. I'm going to take the Raiders.
Wow. I ran for more yards than Josh Jacobs did. I'm not even in the NFL. So congratulations to me.
No, you got -3 last week. So.
But yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers. Yeah, they're going to beat Jimmy G. They're going to be all over him. They're going to give his life hell, and I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, I got the Raiders, but I will say I'm surprised they're favored. We'll get on to the first of 2 Monday night games. I'll be honest, there shouldn't be multiple weeks with 2 Monday night games, but it is what it is. We have YouTube TV, so we can just watch it on multi-view. It's no big deal. The Eagles go into Tampa and play the Buccaneers. The Eagles are 5-point favorites, and this is a fun game. 2-0 teams. Who would have thought? 2 electric offenses apparently, and 2 really stout defenses so far this season. So it's a pretty good matchup. I think it'll be a really fun game to watch on prime time. And love what I saw from Devontae Smith last week, and just the Eagles in general. I thought they kind of got their way, just running the ball nonchalantly, throwing to their stars and letting them make plays. So really like the Eagles. I think the Bucks magic could come to an end here, but if they come out with this win, that'd be awesome.
I feel like I have a lot to say in this for this one. For starters, I'm not just saying this because in our main league I have Mike Evans and AJ Brown, but I think the wide receivers in this game could go absolutely berserk. Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I seriously think they could go berserk with just how bad the secondaries are. Eagles secondary they're banged up. I think they're 27th ranked among secondaries right now against fantasy wide receivers. So I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think Baker Mayfield keeps it rolling. I really do.
Wow. He's
only been sacked once so far, so I bet he's going to be sacked a couple times for sure. But I do think he keeps it going, and I do have the Bucks in this one. I don't know why. I like the Bucks right now. They're looking good. I love Rachaad White. So yeah, bold, but
Baker magic right there. Wow, that's bold. that's got to be the bold take of the week.
Yeah.
Wow. I just want to point something out that was not talked about enough. Remember when I put Mike Evans in my top 20 and I was getting absolutely laughed at from you two absolute goofballs?
I totally forgot about
that. You're just like, what? It's 2023. You have Mike Evans in your top 20. Yeah, the sad thing is I didn't even end up getting to draft him in any league I have. Shane has him in our main league. He's absolutely going off. And I was just thinking about that the whole time. I was like, this is that kid who's laughing at me for having Mike Evans in my top 20 fantasy wide receivers.
To be fair, I don't think I drafted him as a top 20 wide receiver. He's probably right around 20.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you got him as tremendous ADP, he's definitely paying it off right now with that Baker magic. We'll see how long it lasts. I think the Eagles, they're too talented of a team to lose to Baker. Even though this Fitzmagic type stuff is in the air right now, Eagles, they're still AJ Brown. He's pissed off. He's gonna have a big game. Devontae Smith is going off. they've been playing sloppy football and they've been winning. And I think they're going to clean it up this week, the Eagles, and I just think they're going to roll over the Bucks.
All right, so me and Josh both have the Eagles over Shane's new favorite team, the Buccaneers. We'll get into the last game of the week. It'll be a fun one. The LA Rams are going into Cincinnati to play the Bengals, who are 2.5-point home favorites, and the Bengals are wearing their whiteouts in this one. So I don't know how you could lose in those beautiful things, but they've looked rough. They've looked really rough. They've probably been the biggest. Like,
is Joe Burrow playing? I think that has a big factor. I know he's banged up.
I think I don't want to speak for you guys, but personally, I think my pick's going to be the Bengals. But if it's without Burrow, it has to be the Rams, right?
Wait, I got to say something. I got Mike Evans as the 35th wide receiver in our league. The 35th.
Wow.
That's crazy.
How'd you even calculate that?
Yeah, I just counted from our board.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't hear anything you guys just said. I didn't hear anything you guys just said in that last minute, but sorry, I had to say that.
Clearly, I forgot who Mike Evans was as we were drafting. Jeez, ridiculous.
But no, like, are you guys just going with, like, if Joe Burrow doesn't play, then it's the Rams, and if he plays, it's the Bengals? Or
he's banged up anyways. He did not look good. He got hurt at the end of last week.
You know,
I don't know. I think I'm going Rams either way right now, to be honest with you.
all right.
Yeah, that's what I put in our doc, and I'm sticking with it. I think it's the Rams either way. I think the Bengals are seriously starting 0-3.
Yeah. I do ever think the Bengals will have some kind of mid-season transformation.
Wait,
I'd be too late at that point.
let's make a bet right now. Danny, write this down. Over under. I want to find a good line here, but this is gonna be a fun game. Hold please. You're gonna like this game. Over under 16.5 targets for Puka this week.
Ooh. Ooh. 16.5. That is a good line.
That's ridiculous.
I'm taking the over.
If you would have said that a month ago, you would sound like a crackhead, but that is a good line.
Yeah. What are you doing? I'm taking the over.
I think Cup, by the way. It's Puka Cup.
Yeah, it's Puka in the Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Let's take the over. Let's pound that over. I'll put some in it too. Let's do it.
All right, taking the over. 17. Okay.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of passing in this game, and I think that this man on the left right here, Kyron Williams, benefits from that. I think he's just going to be a fantasy stud this week, maybe the number one running back this week. It's kind of my take. I think he's just going to be incredibly involved in the receiving and the running game. I think the Rams are going to score some points against this good Bengals defense. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but the Bengals were my Super Bowl pick. If I hopped off the train this quick, it would be kind of sad. So I got to go the Bengals. But if Burrow doesn't play, I'm going to cop out, and I'm going to say the Rams in that case.
All right. I got Rams.
Yeah, I'm going Rams, and sadly, I'm playing both Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua. Somehow, some way, somebody has both of those two, and I'm playing them this week. So
They could both be in for an absolute massive week.
yeah, pray for me. This hurts. This hurts my soul a little bit, but yeah, somehow the Rams are going to beat the Bengals, and the Bengals are starting 0-3, and we're wondering what the heck happened to 2023.
If Joe Burrow doesn't go, what are you doing with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? You have to start on her.
You have to. You seriously have to. And whoever plays, who's their backup? Brown.
I think it's like Brandon Allen. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whoever their backup is He's gonna have to hyper target the two best players on the field. So I mean, there could be some benefit there. You have to play.
Mixon in for a big game. What do we think?
No, Aaron Donald's gonna hold him to -2 rushing yards. Just kidding. I'm just saying that because Stores has him. I think he'll be fine. I mean, 10 to 12 fantasy points, I think, is my.
His volume and his receptions have been saving him. I don't think he's gotten in the end zone yet, but his receptions have saved him for sure.
I think he has.
And fun fact, the Brandon Allen is gone from the Bengals. Their backup quarterback is Jake Browning, who
I knew. Yeah, it's like Brown. There's something with a Brown.
Who, fun fact, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in his Washington days, Jake Browning was nasty with it. He was a Heisman favorite and just kind of like didn't even get drafted after, but he was fun in college. So
Oh, Joe Mixon does not have a touchdown. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Joe Burrow goes.
All right. Yeah, this will be a really fun game, the last game of the week. Fun covering all these games. Thanks for tuning in to the NFL Seekers podcast. We got our week 2 recap episode up if you haven't seen that yet. So tune in to the NFL Seekers. Like, subscribe. Peace.